Ugh, having to wear a jacket in the middle of fucking summer because I have this new microphone and it only pins a certain way, and it means that I can't pin it onto a t-shirt without it pointing down, and it means I have to wear a jacket at all times now, and it is so goddamn hot! Tally-ho, ItsOcean back again with another episode of Multiverse, the series where I talk about the video games, the TV shows and the movies that I have indulged in over a given month. Now I will quickly admit it's been a couple of months since I actually put out one of these videos. The reason is basically just that I didn't really play or watch too much. The only thing I've been playing like almost non-stop is the Persona games, but I'm saving the Persona games for a new series that I want to do sometime in the future. So yeah, I basically took a little bit of time off from this series because there just wasn't really anything that I wanted to talk about. But alas, I'm back, so let's get into another good episode of Month in Entertainment. Why am I getting further away? Play the intro. So it's time to talk about the video games, but not this one. So admittedly, I've been going through a little bit of a video game burnout for a little while now. There's just not really been too much that's really taken my fancy, not really too much that has caught my eye. And to be really honest with you, the only thing I've been playing is Persona. Just Persona, Persona 5, Persona 4, Persona 3, Persona Q, Persona fucking Dancing. I played all of those games so far, and as I said, saving that for a future series. So I've not really had that much to actually talk about. There are still some games that I want to check out, such as Stray. We're going into August now, so games such as the new Saints Row is coming out. There's Soul Hackers 2 that I want to give a try. So there could be some pretty good things to talk about for next month. But admittedly, I only have one game to talk about this month, and that game is Road 96. Now, I've been playing Road 96 over on the Kingfish Ocean channel, so if you do want to go and see my reactions to that and my playthrough of that, feel free to go and check it out. Hell, if you like what I'm about to say about the game, then you can go and check that out to see some of the gameplay for yourself. There you go, win-win. Why am I doing this? Like I'm like Italian or something. Hey, it's the pizza! Just blew my audio. So Road 96 is kind of like one of those walking simulator games. The idea is that you play as an unknown, unnamed teenage character, and you're trying to get from one part of the country to the border so that you can leave the country, because the country that you're in, I believe it's called Petria, is under political turmoil. There's a horrible person in charge, and teens are being treated like crap. There's rumours of teen work camps and all these really horrible things. So you're just kind of like, I'm gonna head out. So along the way you could meet valuable allies, but you could also make some pretty nasty enemies. And the idea is pretty simple. Each episode of this game is one character. You basically do one run to the border to try and see if you can get through. Whatever happens, happens. And then once that character either dies or is arrested or passes out in the middle of the street or fucking actually manages to escape, you then play a new character that's in a different part of the country, and you have to make your way from point A to point B again. But the interesting thing is that there are 7 recurring characters in this game, and for each playthrough you will get different events with these characters. For instance, you've got Hacker Boy Alex over here, who's doing the Hackermans. You might see him in a diner playing an arcade game and decide, you know what, let's have some fun with this guy. And you play a little arcade game. Then afterwards, he might try and talk you into helping him with something. And then that thing might go right, it might go wrong. The two of you end up splitting up, and then the next character you play may encounter Alex again to see the payoff to what previously happened. It's super cool. And these side characters have stories that play out throughout your time traveling across the country. But what's super cool about this game as well is that you get given so many different choices as to how you want to proceed. For example, there was a section where I found an abandoned diner, so I decided, you know what, there might be some supplies in here. But I also had the option to try and pick the lock of a car and steal a car. I could hitchhike, I could call myself a taxi or a bus to try and get it a little bit further. I could have just ignored this area entirely, but instead I decided to explore. But as I said, the main goal here is to try and get your character through the border to get them out, but they're not letting people leave, so you have to try and figure out ways to get out of the border. For example, one of the options you might get is to try and actually stow away in someone's truck. Now you could try and maybe get a trucker to help you with that, maybe slip him a little bit of money and say help me out and I'll give you some more or whatever, and he'll be like, right, jump in the back of the truck. You could try and force your way into the back of a truck when someone's not looking, or like sneak in. You could instead decide to go and try and see if you can be smuggled out of the country instead, but it may cost you a lot of money. I don't want to say anything more about it because there's a bunch of really interesting and creative ways to try and get out of the border. The interesting thing though is, for example, if you try to climb around the border and see if you can just kind of slip past it, if you do that with one of your characters, that option becomes unavailable for the next character. So then you have to start thinking about, right, what's my next plan of action? How am I going to get past the border this time? Because otherwise, if you found a successful method to this, you would be able to just get every character out doing that same method again and again, and it would be kind of boring. The other thing to mention here is that you do have money and stamina. You have this like stamina bar in the top left of the screen, and this stamina bar is crucial. If your stamina bar runs out, you will basically just pass out in the street and then it's game over. So you need to keep your stamina up, and certain actions such as maybe climbing over a fence to get away from cops or something may take 2 stamina bars, which means that if you don't have that stamina, you are screwed. It's a game over after that. You're not going to be able to do it. So you really need to keep on top of things. You need to search your surroundings. You need to explore. You need to try and think really hard about how things could affect you. For example, you may have a situation where maybe there's some bank robbers or something that are doing something and they drop a bit of money or something, and you might get the option to try and steal that money while they're not looking. You could steal that money and be perfectly fine, but you could also steal that money and then they see you and then they could kill you right there and then, or they could maybe rob you for all your worth and take more money from you, so then you end up losing money. There's a bunch of different ways that things can play out, and it is so damn interesting to play. So I highly recommend going checking out Road 96. Once again, if you're interested in my playthrough series, it's up here. There's no click thing, so I don't know why I'm actually pointing out this, but I'll put a link in the description. And also in the outro. So yes, not really many video games to talk about this time. Like I said, I've just been playing Persona almost non-stop, and I don't really want to talk about Persona right now. I want to save that for its own series. So instead, I'm going to be moving over to La Television, and I've got to start with something fantastic that's been airing, that finished airing, I think like a few weeks ago. Oh my god, it was so fucking good! And that show, of course, is The Boys! Really can't wait for them to eventually make a spin-off series called The Lads. Lads! So The Boys Season 3 aired, and it was fucking diabolical. It was so fucking good. I had such a fucking fantastic time with this show. This show manages to somehow surpass itself as each season goes by. There's currently 3 seasons of the show out, and each season just gets better and better. It's been phenomenal. So I'm not going to say any spoilers about Season 2 or Season 3, just in case anyone here hasn't seen it. Instead, I'm going to give a recommendation here and tell you about Season 1, without spoiling it, of course. So The Boys is basically a superhero series, but it's a what if of sorts. Like, what if superheroes were turned into a corporate product? The idea is that you've got this group of superheroes that call themselves The Seven. And unlike actual superheroes that usually tend to rescue people and help people and be good people, these superheroes are only doing it for the money.
Balkuwa the deep des. Hirena umi ga ichiban fuki desu ne. Kirei! Kirei!
They're doing it for the fame, they're doing it for the power, they are drunk on many different kinds of things. So they don't give a fuck about actual people, they do not care. They don't care about me, they don't care about you. And this is made brutally clear in one of the show's first scenes where, I don't want to spoil it, but a character dies very early on in a very gruesome and brutal way. So one of my main characters, Huey over here, is like, these guys are fucking assholes, fuck these guys. They're supposed to be superheroes, that they tell us that they're like very gracious and great and wonderful and angelic and oh, we're gonna save America. But really, they're just a bunch of corporate assholes. So he's pissed off, he's like, I'm fucking sick of this shit, when Billy Butcher steps into his life, played by Carl Urban, who is fucking phenomenal in this show, by the way. fucking phenomenal. One could even say that he is
Diabolical.
So basically, Billy Butcher is part of a team called The Boys, and he wants to bring Huey in. He wants to bring Huey over here into the team, into the fold. These guys all have their problems with superheroes. They've all had their past experiences. They've all had their tragedies because of these dickhead asshole superheroes. And they want some fucking revenge. I'm leaning on a table right now and I don't know why, but basically they decide we've got to put a fucking stop to these fucking assholes once and for all. This shit can't keep fucking happening, alright? You fucking superhero pieces of shit! So they get the guns out, bang bang bang, lots of action happens,
Bang.
people explode, penises are explode. Long story, definitely not a show for the faint of heart. There is a lot of really gruesome and gory moments in this show. It is actually mind-blowing at times how fucking insane it is. Like, the shit they get away with on this show, oh my god. Like, how? So if you want to go check that out, that is The Boys, which is on Amazon Prime. So then, one thing that I probably should have mentioned at the start of this is this episode's going to be very superhero-centric. I've watched a lot of superhero-related things recently. I don't know how or why, but that's just how it goes, I guess. Why am I dancing? So the next thing on the list is a Disney Plus TV show. So once again, if you want to go and check this out, it's on Disney Plus, and that show is Miss Marvel. Now I will say that this show has its flaws, it has its issues, it has its problems, as does fucking everything related to Marvel these days, but I really enjoyed Miss Marvel. It felt like a little bit of a breath of fresh air for me personally. So Miss Marvel is the story of Kamala Khan. This is a Muslim girl living in America with her family, and one day she gets this mysterious piece of jewellery, and she's like, oh, this is interesting, this is like some sort of family heirloom, I guess. Oh, that's pretty cool. Alright, looks kind of pretty, I'll just put it on, and oh my fucking god, suddenly this cosmic energy envelops her. She's like, what the fuck is going on? And she finds that she can kind of summon these like astral stretchy arms and stuff. So in the comics, I believe that Kamala Khan, from what I know of, actually has stretchy limbs and can like change the size of herself and stretch like a fucking Stretch Armstrong basically. But in this show, I guess maybe the CGI might have been too complicated or something, I'm not sure, maybe it was too costly. So instead they changed it up to make it so that she has these cosmic arms and these cosmic legs and cosmic abilities instead. So she's not actually moving, it's more like an energy that's wrapped around her that stretches and moves around so that she can do all these cool things. So one of the cool things about Kamala Khan is that she is a superhero stan. She is fucking crazy about Captain Marvel and superheroes in general. And she has a best friend who's this dude from The Walking Dead. So that was kind of cool. He's a pretty cool character in this show as well. There is a lot more going on here. There's a bigger story at play, but I don't really want to reveal too much because it kind of spoils things a little bit. But basically this show is kind of like a teen comedy of sorts. There's a lot of teenage drama going on. You know, Kamala like meets this new guy and he's like, hey, how's it going? I'm hot as fuck. Wink. Which then has Kamala basically just, oh my god, hi, it's nice to meet you. And there's drama with her friends, there's drama with her family. Her family are great in this, by the way. I actually really like every single member of the family. Like, they all have their interesting quirks. I just felt it was really cool to have like a family dynamic going on in this show. I quite enjoyed it. But one of the best things about this show is the way that they present the show. There'll be moments where Kamala like pulls her phone out and is like, oh, I need to text my friend. Oh, these powers are crazy, man, I don't know what to do. And then there'll be like text popping up on a wall behind them, as if it's like projected onto the wall or something of the text message. Sometimes she'll be walking down the street texting one of her friends, and the text message reply she's getting will be like graffiti on the back of a wall behind her. So she's walking along and there's like scenes are passing by, you'll see like the replies as graffiti on the wall. It's super, super creative, super, super interesting, and I really enjoyed those scenes. They were, back to doing this again. Hey, mamma mia! Hey, I'm Miss Marveling over here! So yes, once again, that was Miss Marvel. If you want to go and check this out, it's on Disney Plus. Now then, don't know why I keep feeling like I need to dance for some reason, I don't fucking know why. Now we're gonna mosey on over to the movies. And I actually have a couple of things to talk about here. 3 things, in fact. So, because I just mentioned Miss Marvel, I'm gonna get straight into it once again. Very superhero-centric episode this month. I didn't really get to give my thoughts on Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Now, a bunch of you have probably already seen this by now. It's been out for a little while and it just got put onto Disney+. But Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is Doctor Strange 2, the second Doctor Strange movie, and basically in this movie, a girl from a completely different timeline called America Chavez who can explore, her power is that she can jump through time, she can jump through timelines, and she can explore the multiverse at her own leisure, which is actually really cool when you think about it. I'd love to do that. I'd love to go to like a different version of this reality where we actually have a Half-Life 3 and a Left 4 Dead 3. The opportunities! So she's in trouble. There's a monster that is trying to chase after her and trying to get her for some unknown mysterious reason. She ends up in the MCU timeline and runs into Doctor Strange of our universe and is really freaked out and like doesn't trust him, he doesn't trust her, they don't know what's going on. They eventually end up having to team up to find out what the fuck is going on here. Only for it to very quickly become apparent that Wanda, our buddy Wanda over here, the Scarlet Witch herself, is the one that sent the monster. She's trying to get America Chavez. The reason being that America Chavez can jump through timelines and explore alternate realities. So quick spoilers for WandaVision here. If you haven't seen it, I guess just skip ahead. Just gonna give it a second. Just gonna, that's enough time, it's fine. So, Wanda lost her kids at the end of WandaVision. She's absolutely heartbroken and wants to see them again. So, she wants America's power so that she can find an alternate timeline where, like, her kids are still alive and she can go and see them again, basically. And what was a little bit unexpected was the fact that Wanda is technically the villain in this story. This whole story is basically Doctor Strange and America Chavez jumping between timelines trying to get away from Wanda because she's ready to fuck up everyone's shit to try and get to her kids. And they really make her super fucking powerful in this. They really do try to show you what she is capable of doing, and sometimes it's pretty fucking scary. Speaking of scary, this film was directed by Sam Raimi, who made those movies. So, yeah, there's some horror in this. It's really weird to say, but there'd be some scares in this here yonder film. And I was quite shocked about that. Some moments legit had me going, whoa, Jesus! Oh, whoa, that's really creepy. And I was shocked at that, but it felt like, like I'm choking. It's felt like a genuine breath of fresh air in this MCU that has gotten incredibly stale. But yeah, there's a lot of fun to be had here. They don't quite do as much with the multiverse as I think a lot of people would have hoped that they would have done, but it's still a super cool, enjoyable film. It's a fun time. It's got its problems, but what fucking doesn't in the MCU these days? But I say that, and then I'm going to move over to the next thing, which is for the fucking fourth one. Fourth. Get it? Fourth, because Love and Thunder. And I'll admit, my first time when I went to watch the film, I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I had a laugh. I thought it was a lot of fun. The more that I've sat down and let it kind of go through my mind, and the more that I've just kind of thought about it, the less I start to like this movie. One of the main reasons being is that Thor is a fucking idiot in this movie. Every 2 seconds there has to be a joke. There's a fucking fly. Ah, was that Thor? Is he mad at me because I talk shit about him? I'm sorry. But every 2 seconds there has to be a fucking joke in this film, and it became so aggravating to deal with. There were moments where, even if I was having fun for the most part, there were moments where I'm sat there and I'm like, why did they just do that? There are entire scenes where nothing really happens and it's just just jokes non-stop, and a lot of them don't work because they just come off as really stupid and dumb and silly and just fucking why? And it is one of the problems I've been having with the MCU for a while now. As I mentioned, I think before in a previous video, I mentioned Black Widow, and I mentioned the fact that they kept making jokes that were, during really serious moments, they kept cracking jokes and it just took away from the moment. It made it stupid and annoying, and it's like, oh, I'm just so tired of it. I'm so tired of every fucking Marvel thing being a comedy. It doesn't have to be a comedy. Let it be something different, you know? Doctor Strange, for example, still had its jokes in there because of course it did. but it had lots of little moments of horror. And even though I'm not a big fan of horror movies per se, it's not my kind of thing because I'm a per se, I really did appreciate the fact that it was something a bit different. It was something unique. They did something different with it. It wasn't just the as they keep doing constantly all the fucking time now. And I'm really bored and tired of the constant, of everything being a comedy. I mean, I know it was Taika Waititi, so what do you expect? Of course it's going to be a comedy. But I just felt like, unlike Thor Ragnarok, which I did actually really enjoy, and felt like some of the things, even though Thor was kind of dumb in that movie as well, some of it did work, and some of it was still super fun and super interesting, and at least would make sense. But some of the jokes in this movie literally just fell flat on their face in a scene that felt like it could have been cut from the movie entirely and nothing would have changed. And it just bothered me a lot. And the more that I think about it, the more that I look at stuff to do with this film, the more I'm disappointed with it. So I'll say it's definitely one of those films where if you want to get drunk, go to the cinema and fucking just watch a silly film and just have fun, or you just want to watch it with your friends and just have a silly time, it's probably a good time. You'll probably have fun with it. But if you are going in expecting something like Ragnarok, or something a bit like something great, or something that isn't really annoying, and you want something a bit more serious maybe, or whatever, this might not be the thing for you. But anyway, that recently just came out, so I think that's still in the cinemas right now, so it's not up on any services, so I can't really recommend where to watch it. I guess you're just gonna have to go to the cinema, I guess. And then, the final thing I want to talk about. Let's move away, finally. Let's just, this superhero stuff, just push it out of the fucking way. Because the last thing I want to talk about is not a superhero movie, though it is a multiverse story. And that film is, one second, just need to actually check the title. Everything Everywhere All at Once. Yeah, I get that mixed up every time. I'm like, all of everything that's everywhere .yahoo.com, fucking everywhere, everything at AOL, abridged, fucking 420 blaze it, fucking 69 me please daddy.com. What is it called? What the fuck did I just say? I think I watched this film a few months ago, so I actually can't remember all the details off the top of my head right now. But basically, this film is about an Asian family living in America, and they run a laundromat. They're just trying to get by, and this story is mostly focused on the mother of the family. So the mother of the family is really struggling. She's stressed out to up here, and they go to this, like, I think it's a tax office or something like that. They run into this lady who, yes, by the way, that is Jamie Lee Curtis. I didn't recognise her at first. I was like, wait, what? And Jamie Lee Curtis is like, you need to sort your taxes out. You need to sort this stuff out. I'm starting to think it wasn't taxes. And like, you need to sort your taxes out. This is getting really ridiculous, right? You need to really sort this out. But then all of a sudden, this split happens. She's in the elevator with her husband, and they're like, do, and then suddenly her husband is just like, I need to talk to you. It's imperative that I talk to you right now. We need to do this. We need to do this right now. And she's like, what the fuck are you doing? And he basically explains that there's this person coming after her specifically, because he comes from another timeline where things are really bad, and they're trying to like wipe out the other timelines or something like that. I can't quite remember. She needs to run away. She needs to get away. And as these things are happening, Jamie Lee Curtis's character suddenly takes an axe and is like smashing through the door, like, ah! Like going nuts. And she's like, ah! And things get real fucking crazy real quick. There's kung fu in this movie, which is super fucking badass. There's a lady that uses her dog as a nunchuck or something like that. That shit was fucking wild.
Suspicious. Don't be suspicious. No. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
And basically what is happening here, without spoiling things, is that people are like in this one universe are doing some sort of scientific thing where they're able to take over the body of themselves from another universe, that they can quickly do stuff that they need to do before that body fights back and pushes them out, essentially. But the only way that they can do this is by doing something very spontaneous that is not fated, basically. It's something really weird. Like, for example, if I was to be in this, I might grab this not a sponsor, moisturizing sun cream lotion and just squirt it in my mouth out of nowhere. Just, a different timeline me will then have my body for a little while. So there's quite a lot of really funny moments where characters are like full on like fighting and beating each other up, and then suddenly they'll just stop and be like, oh shit, and then they'll just like down a bottle of nail varnish, and it's like, what the fuck? And it gets really fucking hilarious at certain points as well. There's some really bizarre adult things going on in this film. But it's hard to explain what the fuck this film is. It's so bizarre, it's so weirdly wonderful. There's even a section where there's like a timeline that they go to, like you get to see different timelines of the mum and how things could have played out for her and her family if she was in a different timeline, and one of them is a timeline where people evolved in a different way to have sausage fingers. It's really fucking weird like that, but it's so fucking good! Like, damn! Sausage fingers! How could you not like that? So that once again was Everything Everywhere All at Once. But anyways, thus ends another episode of Mumford Entertainment. And I've got to randomly say, if you can't fucking tell right now, having this cool microphone on the side of me just makes me want to fucking move around everywhere because I have so much real estate to work with now. I don't have a microphone in one specific place where I have to keep messing around, not being able to do what I want to do with the fucking... I'm on a chair, it's spinning, Jesus Christ. Not being able to move around and having to stay in one stationary position. Now I have the freedom to move around. Got a little bit distracted there. But anyways, let me know what you think about any of the things I talked about in this video. I am going to be trying to do a Mumford Entertainment episode next month. I already have maybe a few things that I've started to watch or started to play that I should be able to talk about. Apart from the Thor stuff that I talked about earlier, because I'm a big MCU fan, I usually only talk about things that I feel positive about, things that I really enjoyed. It's either things that I really enjoyed or things that broke my heart that I usually love so much that I felt the need to talk about it. I prefer to keep more of a positive energy on this series. But anyways, thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Toodaloo! Pog.